Imagine waking up one morning and seeing a headline so bizarre, so disrespectful, that even the internet, the same internet that survives celebrity scandals daily, suddenly goes silent. What if someone actually posted photos of a rapper's mother's grave, and the entire world started asking what was discovered there afterward? That's exactly the storm now surrounding 50 Cent and the explosive social media meltdown involving King Harris, the outspoken son of T.I. and Tumta Tiny. Harris, because this isn't just another hip-hop argument. No, this story spiraled into something far darker the moment King Harris allegedly posted images of the resting place of Sabrina Jackson, the woman whose tragic death shaped 50 Cent's entire life story. And suddenly the internet wasn't just talking about rap beef anymore. It was asking a chilling question: what exactly was discovered at that grave after the video went viral? Did someone actually visit the site after the post exploded online? Why were fans claiming strange things started appearing there? And why did 50 Cent respond the way he did, with memes instead of rage? Tonight we're breaking down every shocking detail of the feud. The viral posts, the internet investigation, and the mystery that has millions asking the same question. Did King Harris accidentally ignite one of the most disturbing celebrity controversies the internet has ever seen? The internet moves fast, but sometimes a story moves so fast that even the people involved can't control where it goes. That is exactly what happened when the long-simmering tension between 50 Cent and T.I. suddenly exploded into one of the strangest celebrity controversies anyone had seen in years. What started as a routine hip-hop disagreement somehow turned into a viral internet investigation involving family members, grave sites, old rumors, and the new generation stepping into a feud that was never meant for them. To understand why the entire internet suddenly began talking about a grave connected to Sabrina Jackson, you have to rewind to the moment the conversation first started heating up again. And strangely enough, the spark that reignited everything was something fans had been asking for years. A battle between two rap icons. For years, hip-hop fans had debated who would win if 50 Cent and T.I. ever stepped into a catalog showdown on the hit music battle platform Versus. Both artists dominated the early 2000s, both had platinum albums, street credibility, and legions of fans who believed their favorite rapper would easily win any musical face-off. The idea of them facing each other on Versus was the kind of matchup that could break the internet. Fans imagined hit after hit going back and forth. Club anthems, street records, chart toppers. For years people joked that it was inevitable, but behind the scenes, according to statements that later started circulating online, there had apparently been conversations about it. During a podcast appearance that began making the rounds across social media, T.I. claimed that he and 50 Cent had already discussed the idea privately years earlier. According to him, the two rappers had talked about making it happen and had even worked out a simple strategy. The plan, he explained, was straightforward. T.I. would publicly mention the idea first to get fans excited. Then 50 Cent would respond and confirm the possibility. The buzz would build naturally and eventually lead to the event itself. At least that was the idea. But when T.I. finally did bring the idea up publicly, something strange happened. Instead of playing along with the plan, 50 Cent reportedly reacted as if the conversation had never happened at all. According to T.I., the response made him feel like he had been left hanging in front of the entire internet, and that was the moment the tension came rushing back. During that interview clip that spread across social media like wildfire, T.I. made it clear that the situation had changed how he felt about the New York rap mogul. In blunt terms, he explained that he no longer had the same respect he once had for hip-hop fans who had followed both careers for years. Those comments hit like a spark landing on dry gasoline. Because the truth is that the relationship between these two artists had never been perfectly smooth. The history between 50 Cent and T.I. stretches back more than a decade. And some of those old tensions involved one of the most sensitive accusations in hip-hop culture. Years earlier, when T.I. had faced federal weapons charges and eventually received a relatively short prison sentence, some critics had raised questions about how the case had been resolved. In hip-hop circles, Rumors about cooperation with authorities can damage a rapper's reputation permanently. At the time, 50 Cent had not directly accused T.I. of anything, but he had made comments and references that many fans interpreted as subtle hints questioning what really happened behind the scenes. One of those moments came through a track that listeners quickly connected to the situation, adding fuel to speculation that the two rappers had quietly been trading shots for years. So when T.I. publicly revisited the Versus situation and suggested that 50 Cent had not honored a prior conversation, the tension that had been buried for years suddenly resurfaced in full view of millions of viewers online, and that is when the social media war began. If there is one thing fans know about 50 Cent, it is that he rarely ignores controversy. Over the years, he has built a reputation not only as a successful rapper and television producer, but also as one of the most relentless online trolls in entertainment. When someone mentions his name in a negative way, his response usually arrives quickly, and it often comes with sarcasm, memes, and jokes that turn a disagreement into a viral spectacle. So, when the podcast clip began spreading across Instagram pages and hip-hop blogs, people waited to see how 50 Cent would respond. The answer came exactly how many fans expected. Instead of addressing the Versus claim directly, 50 Cent fired back with a series of social media posts that mocked the entire situation. The tone was classic 50 Cent, sarcastic, dismissive, and designed to keep the spotlight firmly on the drama rather than any serious explanation. At first, the posts focused mainly on the back and forth between the two rappers. Insults were exchanged. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, filled with fans arguing about who was right. But then the feud took a turn that no one expected. During one of the exchanges, 50 Cent shared a post that included an unflattering photo of Tamka Tiny Harris, the wife of T.I. and a respected artist in her own right. Tiny was already well known in the music industry long before the feud began. As a member of the successful R&B group Xscape, she had built a career that stretched back decades. She had worked on hit records, earned awards, and maintained a loyal fan base. More importantly, she had not been part of the argument between the two rappers. But once her image appeared in the middle of the feud, the tone of the entire situation changed instantly. Fans began debating whether the post had crossed a line. Some people defended 50 Cent's long-standing reputation for ruthless trolling, arguing that social media beef had always been messy. Others insisted that bringing a spouse into the conflict had taken things too far. Within hours, the comment sections were filled with thousands of reactions. Some were angry, some were laughing, some were simply stunned that the argument had escalated so quickly, and then someone else entered the conversation. The person who stepped in next was not another veteran rapper. It was someone much younger. Someone who had grown up watching the industry drama from the sidelines but now suddenly found his family pulled into the spotlight. That person was King Harris. As the son of T.I. and Tamka Tiny Harris, King Harris had already begun building his own identity in the music world. But he was also part of a famous family that had spent years in the public eye. When the photo of his mother began circulating online, it did not take long for him to respond. What happened next is the moment that turned a typical celebrity feud into something far more controversial. Instead of ignoring the posts, King Harris opened his phone, turned on his camera, and began recording a video message directed straight at 50 Cent. The tone of the video was angry and confrontational. King made it clear that he felt his mother had been disrespected publicly, and that he was not willing to stay silent. In the video, he challenged the rap mogul directly, questioning why someone who had built an empire in entertainment would choose to involve a family member who had nothing to do with the argument. At first, the rant seemed like another heated moment in a long list of celebrity internet fights, but then the posts continued. Soon after the video appeared, screenshots began spreading online showing something that shocked even long-time observers of hip-hop beefs. According to the posts that started circulating across Instagram and X, King Harris had shared an image that appeared to show the gravesite connected to Sabrina, Jackson. Within minutes, the internet erupted for many people. That was the moment when the feud crossed into territory that few public disputes ever reach. Bringing a deceased family member into a conflict is widely considered one of the most extreme forms of disrespect in hip-hop culture, but the story did not stop. Because as those images spread across social media, something else began happening. Fans, bloggers, and online detectives started asking a new question that would quickly become the center of the entire controversy. What exactly had been discovered at that gravesite after the post went viral? And that question is where the story becomes even stranger, because according to multiple posts and claims that began circulating in the hours after the images appeared, people were now visiting the cemetery themselves. Some said they were curious. Others said they wanted to verify whether the images were real. And a few claimed they had noticed unusual things appearing around the grave after the viral video exploded across the internet. Suddenly, the feud between two rappers had turned into something much bigger than music. It had become a full-blown online investigation, and as thousands of people continued sharing theories, screenshots, and reactions, the world waited to see how the one person at the center of the storm would respond. Because if there is one thing everyone knows about 50 Cent, it is that he never stays quiet when his name is trending, and his response to what happened next would leave the entire internet even more confused. But that response came after the story took another dramatic turn. When new posts from King Harris began surfacing and people started digging deeper into the history behind the name Sabrina Jackson. And as more information spread across social media, the argument that had started with a simple versus debate was about to transform into one of the most chaotic celebrity feuds the internet had seen in years, and that is exactly where the next chapter of this story begins. As the screenshots continued circulating online, the conversation shifted almost instantly. What had started as a heated back and forth between two hip-hop veterans was suddenly becoming something much larger and far more chaotic. Social media timelines filled with reposts, reaction videos, and threads trying to piece together exactly what had just happened. The name of King Harris was now trending alongside 50 Cent and T.I., and the internet was doing what the internet always does during celebrity drama, turning into a full-blown investigation unit. The first wave of reactions focused on the shock factor. Fans could not believe that a rap feud had escalated to the point where a gravesite connected to Sabrina Jackson was being discussed publicly. Comment sections filled with the same questions repeated over and over. Had the image actually been posted? Was it real? And if it was real, why would anyone think that was a good idea in the middle of an already explosive argument? But almost immediately, another layer of the story started emerging. Bloggers and entertainment pages began revisiting the events that had happened just hours earlier. They pointed out how quickly the entire conflict had escalated once the post involving Temka Tiny Harris appeared. Tiny had not been the one speaking publicly about Versus. She had not been trading insults with anyone online. Yet her image had suddenly become part of the feud. And that was the moment when everything spiraled. Supporters of the Harris family argued that the situation had been provoked. According to them, when someone publicly mocks your mother or your spouse, emotions are going to run high. They claimed that King Harris had simply reacted to what he believed was disrespect toward his family. Others strongly disagreed. Critics argued that even in the world of hip-hop beef, there are certain boundaries that should never be crossed. Bringing up a deceased parent, they said, was one of those boundaries. Within hours, the debate had become one of the most heated arguments online. Influencers and commentators started posting breakdown videos explaining their perspective. Some compared the feud to older rap rivalries where personal attacks had spiraled out of control. Others said this situation felt different because social media now amplifies every moment instantly. And while the internet argued, something else started happening quietly behind the scenes. A number of people began claiming that they had actually visited the cemetery connected to the viral screenshots. Whether those claims were accurate or simply part of the internet rumor machine was impossible to verify. But that did not stop the stories from spreading. According to several viral posts, individuals who went to the site said they noticed that the grave linked to Sabrina Jackson had suddenly become a place of attention. Some claimed that fans had started leaving flowers and small items there. Others claimed they saw people taking pictures, almost as if the location had become part of a bizarre celebrity sightseeing tour. Again, none of these claims were confirmed. But the internet does not wait for confirmation before creating theories. Within hours, new rumors began circulating about what people had allegedly discovered at the site. Some posts suggested that visitors had found handwritten notes left near the grave. Others claimed that security around the cemetery had suddenly increased. A few even suggested that people had seen media representatives nearby, possibly trying to document the viral moment. As these stories spread, the narrative surrounding the feud started changing again. It was no longer just about a disrespectful post. Now the conversation was about the ripple effect of that post. What happens when millions of people suddenly become aware of a location connected to one of the most famous rappers in the world? Entertainment pages began describing the situation as a perfect example of how internet drama can spiral into something unpredictable. One anonymous blogger wrote that the entire situation looked like a social media experiment nobody meant to run. Another claimed the feud had turned into a digital scavenger hunt, with people racing to verify rumors before anyone else. Meanwhile, the man at the center of the storm, 50 Cent, remained unusually quiet for someone known for responding to controversy with lightning speed. His silence during those first hours was noticeable. Fans refreshed his social media accounts repeatedly, expecting an explosive reaction. Would he fire back with a furious rant? Would he escalate the feud even further? Or would he address the situation directly and shut down the rumors? When his response finally arrived, it surprised almost everyone. Instead of posting an angry statement or threatening legal action, 50 Cent did something that perfectly matched his long-standing online persona. He posted a meme. The image was simple, almost absurdly casual considering the chaos surrounding the story. Alongside the meme appeared a short caption that suggested he was laughing at the entire situation. Within minutes, the post went viral. Fans interpreted the reaction in different ways. Some believed he was intentionally refusing to give the controversy the emotional reaction people expected. Others argued that the meme was a strategic move designed to make the entire situation look ridiculous rather than serious. Whatever the intention was, the effect was immediate. Instead of calming the debate, the meme poured gasoline on it. Supporters of the Harris family accused him of dismissing a situation that had clearly upset people. Critics of King Harris argued that the meme showed exactly why engaging in a public feud with someone known for trolling was a dangerous game. As the arguments intensified, more details about the history of Sabrina Jackson began resurfacing online. Articles and interviews from years earlier were shared again, reminding people that the story behind her death had always been tragic. In 1983, the young mother died in a mysterious apartment fire that authorities suspected had been deliberately set. According to accounts from that time, investigators believe she had been drugged before the fire started. Despite the suspicion of foul play, the case was never solved. For many fans reading those old reports, the tragedy added a heavy emotional context to the feud. Suddenly, the name appearing in the viral screenshots was not just a detail in a rap argument. It represented a deeply personal loss in the life of a man who had built his entire public persona around survival and resilience. As that realization spread across social media, the tone of some conversations began to shift again. People who had initially treated the drama like entertainment started questioning whether the situation had gone too far. But the internet rarely slows down once momentum builds. While debates about respect and boundaries continued, King Harris returned to social media with additional posts. Some of them referenced past controversies connected to 50 Cent. Others appeared to double down on his earlier statements, making it clear that he felt justified in defending his mother. Screenshots of those posts spread just as quickly as the original ones. Each new image added another layer to the story. and each layer brought more reactions from fans and commentators. At the same time, entertainment journalists began analyzing the feud from a broader perspective. Some argued that the situation illustrated how celebrity conflicts now unfold in real time, with millions of spectators participating through comments and shares. Others suggested that the generational difference between the people involved was playing a role. On one side was a veteran rapper known for calculated trolling and media savvy. On the other was a younger artist reacting emotionally to what he perceived as a direct attack on his family. That contrast only made the conflict more unpredictable. Because if the feud continued escalating, the question was no longer just about who would win an argument online. The real question was whether the situation could spiral into something with real-world consequences. And as new rumors began appearing about potential diss tracks, legal threats, and behind-the-scenes conversations, it became clear that the story was far from over. In fact, the next phase of the controversy would bring even more dramatic claims. New reactions from both sides, and a wave of speculation about what might happen next. As the debate continued raging across social media, the situation entered a phase that nobody could have predicted when the original argument about a music battle first surfaced. What began as a clash of egos between two hip-hop veterans was now a full-scale digital spectacle watched by millions. Every new post, every reaction, every screenshot was being dissected in real time. The names 50 Cent, T.I., and King Harris were dominating trending pages, while fans and commentators continued arguing about who had crossed the line first. At this stage, the internet had already moved beyond the original question of respect. Now people were examining the entire history of these artists, pulling up interviews from years ago, reposting clips, and creating elaborate timelines explaining how the feud had escalated. Some videos tried to prove that the rivalry between 50 Cent and T.I. had always been inevitable. Others insisted that this particular moment had been sparked purely by social media culture, where every insult becomes a viral headline within seconds. Meanwhile, attention remained focused on the story that had shocked the public the most: the viral post connected to the gravesite linked to Sabrina Jackson. By now, the rumors surrounding what people allegedly saw there had grown even more dramatic. Some posts claimed fans were visiting the cemetery simply to see whether the grave looked different after the controversy exploded online. Others claimed people had left handwritten notes expressing sympathy for the tragedy that had shaped 50 Cent's childhood. None of those claims could be verified, but that hardly mattered in the fast-moving world of online drama. Every rumor created more curiosity, and curiosity meant more posts, more videos, and more speculation. Bloggers began describing the situation as one of the most bizarre celebrity controversies of the year, because it had transformed a typical rap feud into something that felt almost surreal entertainment. Commentators also began analyzing the psychology behind the reactions. One commentator suggested that the entire conflict reflected two different styles of dealing with criticism. On one side was 50 Cent, who had spent decades building a reputation as someone who laughs at controversy rather than showing anger. On the other side was King Harris, a young artist reacting emotionally to what he believed was a public insult directed at his mother, Tamka "Tiny" Harris. That contrast created a strange dynamic. The more serious the accusations became, the more relaxed 50 Cent appeared online. Instead of writing long explanations or defending himself directly, he continued posting short reactions, memes, and sarcastic captions that suggested he was watching the chaos with amusement. Those posts only intensified the discussion. Some fans admired the strategy, arguing that refusing to show anger prevented the feud from escalating further. Others believed the memes were a way of avoiding accountability for comments that had started the argument in the first place. At the same time, supporters of the Harris family continued defending King's reaction. Many argued that when a mother is publicly mocked, especially someone with a respected career like Tamka "Tiny" Harris of Escape, it is natural for a son to step in. According to those voices, the real issue was not the viral post that followed, but the moment. The family had been dragged into the feud. As the arguments intensified, Another development quietly added a new dimension to the story. Reports began circulating that T.I. had taken his response off social media and into the studio. Several music pages claimed that the Atlanta rapper was recording new material addressing the situation directly. In hip-hop culture, that kind of response often signals that a feud is about to move from Instagram into the music itself. The possibility of diss tracks immediately created another wave of anticipation. Fans began debating what would happen if the conflict turned into a musical battle instead of a social media war. Some even pointed out the irony. The entire argument had originally started because people wanted to see the two rappers face each other in a versus battle. Now the feud had become so personal that the idea of them sharing a stage felt almost impossible. While these discussions continued, the story surrounding the grave connected to Sabrina Jackson continued to cast a shadow over the entire controversy. Articles revisiting her life and tragic death were being shared widely again, reminding people that the story behind the name was deeply emotional. Back in 1983, the mysterious fire that took her life had shocked the community where she lived. Investigators suspected foul play, but the case was never solved. For the young boy who would later become 50 Cent, that loss had shaped every chapter of his life story. Understanding that background changed the way some fans looked at the feud. What had initially seemed like shocking internet drama now carried a heavier emotional context. The mention of the grave was not just another insult. It touched on one of the most painful events in the rapper's past. That realization caused a noticeable shift in tone among some commentators. Several influential voices in hip-hop media began urging both sides to step back before the situation escalated further. They pointed out that online feuds often spiral beyond the control of the people involved, especially when millions of fans are watching and reacting in real time. Despite those calls for calm, the controversy refused to fade. Every time the story seemed ready to disappear from the headlines, another reaction appeared. A new screenshot, a new comment, a new theory about what might happen next. Some observers speculated that the feud could eventually lead to legal warnings if the personal attacks continued. Others believed it would eventually burn out once the artist moved on to other projects. But one thing everyone agreed on was that the conflict had already produced one of the most surreal moments in recent hip-hop internet history. Because very few people could have predicted that a conversation about a music battle would evolve into a global debate involving family loyalty, internet investigations, and a viral mystery surrounding a gravesite. And yet that is exactly where the story ended up. By the time the dust began settling, millions of people had followed every twist of the controversy. They had watched as a decades-long rivalry resurfaced, as a new generation stepped into the argument, and as social media transformed a private disagreement into an international spectacle. Whether the feud continues or eventually fades away, the images and posts that circulated during those chaotic days will likely remain part of internet history. They showed how quickly a celebrity conflict can grow once millions of voices joined the conversation, and perhaps the most surprising part of the entire saga was how it forced people to confront a simple but uncomfortable question. In the era of viral drama and non-stop online reactions, where exactly should the line be drawn? Because once that line disappears, a feud can move from music to family, from jokes to tragedy, and from ordinary internet gossip to a controversy that leaves the entire online world stunned. And after everything you just heard, the real question still remains. How did a simple hip-hop disagreement turn into one of the most shocking internet controversies involving 50 Cent, T.I., and King Harris? Was this just another example of social media drama spiraling out of control? Or did this feud reveal how far celebrity beefs can go once family members get involved? And when the name of Sabrina Jackson started trending again decades after her tragic death, many fans were left wondering whether some lines should never be crossed. No matter how heated the rivalry becomes, now the internet is still divided. Some people say King Harris was simply defending his mother. Tamka Tiny Harris, while others believe mentioning a gravesite should never have happened in the first place. But what do you think? Did this situation go way too far, or was it just another chapter in the wild world of hip-hop beef? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this debate is far from over. And if you want more deep dives into the biggest celebrity controversies and internet mysteries, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breaking story.